Okay, good evening, good afternoon, good morning, depending on where in the world you are. This is the Aperitif Concerts, which is Tesoro's interview show. I'm Stacey Dyson. I run Tesoro. We are an international women's poetry network with members in Colombia, Canada, Australia, England, South Africa, and Portugal. We are always blessed to have the poets that we have on the mic. But we're really lucky today because this young woman should be in South Africa, but she's here in the United States to work for a bit. So we were able to capture her at a decent hour for all of us instead of waking her up at 3 o'clock in the morning. I will leave her to go ahead and introduce herself, tell you about herself, and then we'll go ahead and we'll get started with the interview. But please welcome to the stage, Ashley Moyo.
Hi, thank you so much, Stacey, for having me. It's an absolute pleasure. So my name is Ashley Moyo. I am a spoken word artist, writer, as well as a traveler. So both physically and through poems and storytelling. I just enjoy traveling with words, and the body follows thereafter. Um, yeah, this question is always like an external question when someone asks, tell me about yourself. And you're like, oh no, this is the part. It's like, do I give you my name? Do I give you my address? What is it that I should give you? But in essence,
Tell us, what's your favorite peanut butter?
Yes.
Whatever.
So I believe that this might get me, a bit of hate, but I don't believe pineapple should be on pizza. Like that's like number one.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. For that alone, you're going to heaven. Okay. So we're good. So I will start this interview the way I start all of our aperitif interviews. And you can interpret it however it is you need to interpret it. And answer it however it is you need to answer it. Why poetry and why now?
Why poetry? Mainly because it came to find me. I came to a point where I wanted to leave it, but then it slowly crawled in. It was a way of expression, a way to make sense of the world. It hasn't only been the first time, but it's been like throughout my years how I would be able to retain information. So back in school, I was a visual learner. I used to remember certain information through pictures and not so much text. So for me to retain information, what I used to do is I used to create pictures to retain information. So it was a way of learning. So that was the first why. And then it became personal in the sense that I got to express how I feel, get messages across as well. And then why now? It's poetry is timeless because as long as we continue living, the stories are inevitable to continue. So we have stories just developing each and every day. It's a way of connecting beyond borders. It doesn't have like a set way it can be understood. So that is why now.
Okay. First of all, tell us a little bit about why you're in the States right now. I know this isn't your, I know you're up and around the Bay Area, if I'm correct.
Yes.
Okay. And I know that's not your usual stomping ground. So
Yes. Okay, so what I did was there was a point
tell us where
where
you're located usually.
Oh, okay. So I'm normally located in Johannesburg. That's where I live. That's home in South Africa. And I decided to take a journey onto because there was a point where I just thought, hey man, I want to travel a bit in order for me to discover new sceneries. Maybe it could influence the way of my writing, the way I understand a lot of things. And then I came out for work. So I'm currently working this side and just trying to also push my artwork in the States and just try to network as much as possible because I do understand that there is power in networking. So yeah, that's a bit of both. So it just so happened that the work I found was in like the Bay Area, which was really cool because then I was like, I get to explore and so forth. So that has just been the journey so far.
So The usual question is, where do you see yourself in 5 years? I want to know where you see yourself because poets, as you say, are timeless. We don't die, we just run out of ink.
Yeah.
Um, so in 20 years, in 30 years, because I know you're involved a little bit in the fashion industry.
All right.
Um, so yes, I looked at the website, babe. Um, First of all, tell us a little bit about that because I'm really interested in that.
Oh, okay. So, are you referring to the suits, the whole suits? And yes, okay. So back home, one day my mom like opened my closet because I really enjoyed having blazers, and I had like a collection of blazers just randomly at home. And then what basically happened is she opened my closet this one day and she's like, "Whose uncle lives here?" And I was like, "No, mom, those are my clothes. Those are my possessions." And she was like, "Ashley, you can't have all of these." And I thought, why not create narratives out of them so that they can be of use and I just don't wear them randomly. So the red suit, the blue suit are actually from my mom and my aunt. So they went back in their day. So what then I decided to do was create a production called Suited for Each Other. And it's basically using the colors of suits to tell narratives. So I started with red, she's born from a world of fire. And then you get blue, born from a world of water, and he uses his drowning as a form of baptism. And they meet at this point of vulnerability where like red is not burning out blue or blue is not drowning out red, and they create. And I was using the concept of colors, and well, red and blue is also like creates purple. So then in that way I was able to like see how I can use it as an educational purpose, to use primary colors and secondary colors, and the stories continue to evolve with time. So yes, that's like how I used the the suits and so forth into like the craft.
Okay. Um, I've been lucky enough to read
Yeah.
and hear what it is that you do with words, which I am fascinated with. But
Yeah.
write some truly the poem that you submitted for the Tesoro anniversary book made me cry. I mean, I had
Oh.
tears while I was editing the thing. Um, what is there a theme? Is there a focus, or is it just you write whatever feels good to you at the moment?
So with my writing, I don't know why these stories, I'm trying to write love poems. I'm trying, but I want to write it from a place of genuine and like authenticity. But always it's these stories of either, I think it was the stage I was in of like grievance, or they just find me. These stories just come, and it's like these stories that aren't being told, or how they're being told is they're silent, they silent voices. So amplifying those voices, like the one I had, the one you're talking about, I'd written it previously trying to enter just like how it was, well, the theme base of it was um, an African love story. That was like the title of it.
Okay.
And when I thought of an African love story, I thought of how back then it was always letter based, and excuse me, it was always letter based, and always a journey of how the lover would always go away, and you'd always communicate through letters, and it was never something that was um back, like it would, when they returned it was like a lovely home, but they always like were moved away due to work or whatever it was the situation. So I kind of wrote it around those lines. So yes, these stories always like find me in like strange places. Like yesterday night I had like a story, I was like, I don't know, but writing about rejection letters, you know how you just receive rejections and you're just like, oh,
Mhm.
the poem that like resonates with that, with people just being like, yeah, I've received them more than 50. I stopped counting at 50. But yeah, certain things like that, they just pop up randomly. And if the message is not just for me, it comes stronger and I write about it.
Yeah. Um, what's the, if you have one, what's the end game on this? What is it that you want to accomplish at the, for lack of a better phrase, end of your career? What do you want to be known for?
Ah, I want to be known for, well, that's an interesting question. Thank you for that. I appreciate that question. Um, I want to be known for creating space where within the work that I produce, people can find comfort, or they can find themselves, and they can find a sense of freedom. Through my journey, I really want to create a safe space where people can use the artwork, because the long-term goal is just to have a company that has like connections between the US and Africa, and how these poets can actually create sustainable living off this craft, because it's very about it's the dynamics, being an artist is quite, tense, but creating an industry that makes sense in terms of just like launching African poets back into the to the American continent, back and forth, and just exchanging these stories. So creating a portal, basically. Yeah, so maybe being known for this portal and
I
using my
love that
voice so
idea.
far to like navigate and create that whole, so that we can like just get it all in.
I absolutely love that whole idea of verbally bridging
Yeah.
continents with something that's not about business or war.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I absolutely love it. Um, I started this off, kind of facetiously, asking, about your favorite peanut butter and that sort of thing. And we already got the no pineapple on the pizza, which again,
Yeah.
automatic star in your heavenly crown. Okay,
Thank you.
you're gonna get to meet Saint Peter, all the saints, and all that just for that answer alone. Um, what's your favorite thing in the world to
What's
eat?
my favorite?
Your favorite thing in the world to eat, and your favorite place in the world to eat it.
Ah, I really, I really like braai. Like we have this thing called a braai back home. It's almost, if I would think, it's like a barbecue back here, but not so much like a barbecue, because like back home, a braai has like, it has pap. It's like basically, I forgot, like mini meal that's grind, and then you have like 6 colors onto like a plate. You have the meats and everything. It's just combined with family, and like it always happens after on a Sunday, like after church service, we all gather and we all meet up at someone's house, and we all, so like it brings, it's like the message behind it has like so much community work in it as well. So I really enjoy that type of meal, because you don't eat it alone. You can't have a braai alone. You have to have it with people. And if you're having it alone, it's not a braai, it's just having dinner. Yeah.
Okay. That seems to kind of sum up what it is you're trying to do in life, as well as the way you're living your life.
Yeah.
The whole idea of community and bringing folks together. And if there's good food involved, hey, that just makes it even
Yes.
better. Okay. So that's the end of our interview section.
Okay.
So now for the next half hour, Boo, do you. Listen, I've been lucky enough to hear and to see some of your work, but I'm waiting for our audience to experience it. So
Uh,
you've got 30 minutes. Have fun.
all right. So I'll do my best to cover it in 30 minutes, but we'll see how far this journey gets us. Um, Super excited. It's 6 o'clock. The sun has clocked out for the moon to clock in, allowing night to intimate date with the street light. Mom, wingman, she clears the streets in lessons. She teaches her children it is her voice that brings them back home when it goes on. 3 seconds to rush back home before wooden stick or slipper finds home on her skin. From the early ages of 3, I was brought up to believe that home is always a destination. So I have been traveling, finding comfort in people and things. I have visited homes where a child cannot be art, poet, or Batman when they grow up. Living rooms turned into cemeteries, housing dead-bodied dreams that are shoved underneath a generational cursed rug. Then they spray holy anointing oil to bag up the heavy scent of death that lingers. sent child to altar to resurrect a new dream that waits on Monday to be crucified again. I have visited too many homes in search of ones better than mine, and I am realizing that home does not require the right GPS settings for arrival. Home is simply a state of being. So if home is a state of being, welcome to my living room. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Ashley Moyo, and today we're going to go on a journey. We're just going to dive into the narratives of red and blue and kind of give you a bit of a journey within these two different suits. And I'm excited. I'm really excited to have you on board. So if at any given moment, if it gets too much, you can just leave at the last door at the exit there. But feel free to snap hands, shouts, and yeah. Where she is from, she does not know if the fire was inherited or if it was sent. She looks for meaning inside herself. But within the walls of the home she's raised, she hears stories from her aunts and uncles that there is no dowry for broken hymens, that hymens break easy when raised in shaky homes. Grandmother teaches, once you wed and lie with man, blood is to remain on the sheets as a form of purity. But not all girls get the luxury of giving their virginity by choice. There is always an uncle turning a uterus into an asylum at the family gathering. So for the sake of grandmother's egoed belief, tonight when you lie with man, lie with razors and scalpels underneath your tongue, bleed from anywhere for hymen's sake, till the sheets too are under the deception that your purity is leaving for the first time. Let the clans ululate in your deception. Today, there will be a dowry for a broken hymen. She travels, still seeking for meaning, still seeking for meaning. Within her travel, she's still seeking for meaning. Not sure if the fire was inherited or if it was given. But no one ever asks the bullet if it is okay. Why its teeth crave the comfort of embedding itself in skin. Why it is hurting before it causes the hurt. But if you look really closely, you will see her middle name is always spelt in the front of death. She's always the reason and the cause of death. She has passed through too many bodies to know the color red isn't always love, that bruises aren't always external, that death and her have been dancing on these grounds way too long to call it lust. Her holy parts have been taken to partake in communion daily, but no one ever asks the bullet if it is okay. Why its teeth crave the comfort of embedding itself in skin. Why it is hurting before it causes the hurt. No one ever asks the bullet if it is okay. She continues her search, trying to find more meaning, trying to find out if the flame was inherited or sent. But within this commotion, within this trying to find out, she forgets the door open and the fire comes to take not just her innocence, but it comes to take her family away. Please, I am begging you. Remind me to forget, remind me. Vowel me this, for this is the only bait breath will take to idle life back into my body. not prayer. My living is in my forgetting. So let amnesia consume me whole, leave no muscle in memory. They never dared to ask why remembrance nurses my dying, why it is a constant smell of burning breath trying to hold on to its own skin. The lost sight of my son was silent, held hostage by the flame, and I didn't have enough time as ransom to save him. My husband, he did not fight the flames in hopes of its remorse, but he too knows that the good man always finishes last. Remembrance is a self-hate, for women was supposed to be a furnace. I was supposed to swallow the flame, but instead I watched. Now I do not know how to wear widow with the same courage as wife. Now I do not know how to teach my grandma to speak of my children in past tense. So you tell me why this gift of memory they passed for is greater than that of amnesia. To remember is to forgive the fire, and I am not ready yet. Wait, how do I remember this? No, their prayers are working. Summon the fire again if you have to. Do you not see that their prayers are for their sake? Too afraid to stomach a sight of staring me dead in the eye and not recognizing me or my faith. But what about me and what I lost in the fire? Am I not gone already? So if ever they do find me, making snow angels from the colors that leak from my wrists, do not stop this art or bring holy water to resuscitate my heart, for I would have finally found enough courage to forgive the fire. And in this journey, after Red has lost everything, she understands that she has become the fire now. She's a fiery thing, can't be put out. Everything she touches turns to ash, her included. But something happens. Within this journey of life, she meets Blue. Blue is a gentle brother, a vertically blessed, kissed by the sun brother. A jawline so sharp it can cut off the sleeves of her insecurities, leave her bare, naked, enough room for him to whisper the night onto her skin. Wishing upon stars is not a distant thing. Blue is a gentle brother, a vertically blessed, kissed by the sun brother. Jawline so sharp it can cut off the sleeves of her insecurities, leave her bare, naked, enough room for him to whisper the night onto her skin. It is here where blue meets red. It is here where blue meets red. He reminds her of her own stories too. Tells her that for him, it wasn't always like this. It wasn't that he was always able to turn his drowning into a form of baptism. No, he too has stories of his own. Where he is from, there are names they are given, names they believe in, and names they become. There are names that eat out of their mouths, chew with their mouths open, spitting, images of how they butter traded the voices of their lineage. The chews get louder. Countless voices have lost their teeth. There are bones you cannot grind marrow into wine, and this is how they got their names. They were named after the things they could not swallow. Polisa. The clicks in your name aren't accidental, son. They have shape-shifted your father's infidelity into hands. Then RKO'd the apology that hung on ropes that almost took your life. Hope 619 you back into the ring for you to pinhold the apology till the count of 3. 1, I am not the apology. 2, I am not the apology. 3, I am not the apology. Losing means you become the apology. Kolisa. This is how you learn to fight your father's apology in your name. But they all don't know your blueprint. You remember this day so vividly. You were in the ward. Your eyes were too infant to make out a picture, but you remember your father's intentions for your birth. He created you with the doppelganger effect in mind, for you to stand man when he could not. For days he would tiptoe home at 3 a.m. after a night out dancing with infidelity. Then offer your mother the apology. No, not flowers. With you have grown now. And so has this voice inside your head. Sometimes this voice takes over fully. What if you had just played the game of double dutch with your umbilical cord and ended it then? Maybe your mother would have left with her spine still intact years ago. Well, if I tried to fight the voice, and that is how he beats the count of 3. That is how he beats the count of 3. That is how he beats the count of 3. Then there is you. Handed the burden baton, you're born with your fist clenched. In one hand, it's your mother's remarriage, and in the other, the village's disappointment. They name you Avatakali, a vendor name that means we are not happy. Your name morphs into Moses Shaft, splitting these 2 seas to create enough dry grounds for loving your story to walk back to you, for lovers to walk back to you. But then your lover happens to be Aquaman, a man born from the same tides you are running from. He tries to love you, tries to clothe you, but he finds 2 temples without doors to enter. Aquaman does not give up. He turns tongue to blade and slides down south. Here he finds an ark made out of men that look just like him, men that have drowned at the coming of the fiend. Where I am from, the word God latches to the suffix of our names. Tadiwanashe, Kudakwashe, Panashe. There has been too much pain in my country's story not to have God as the epilogue. We've become alchemists to our own formers, learn to turn, he didn't mean it. Mukadziano Shingirira as a remedy to blue eyes and bruised hips. Learn to turn, I am still in this marriage for my kids, as a remedy to a love that left a decade ago with your escape plan. You are left here with denial and a bucket of tears as a family. Heirloom. There will be days like this. Days your name will press play on traumas you thought you had healed from. Be patient with yourself. Cleansing is rebirth. Be patient with yourself. Cleansing is rebirth. It is here that blue meets red. In the central vulnerability, where blue shows his vulnerability to red, almost showing how similar but so different they are. In the slightest of this moment, they collide, giving aisle to each other for breathing, enough aisle for them to connect. And in that slightest moment, they give birth to purple. They give birth to purple. They give birth to purple, who they name Violet. So the open question here would be, who do you believe Violet will become? Will she take on from her mother's side, be a furious, burning thing? Or will she become more like her father and be cool, calm, collected? So yes, those are like the interpretations of the sides I've been working upon and trying to see who Violet will become, or will she take on a whole identity of her own and be like neither of them? So yes, thank you so much for allowing me to share this evening and share a bit about of myself and my stories. Thank you, Stacey, for having me. Thank you, everyone, for joining in to come and journeying with me on this mini journey we took today.
Somebody agrees with it. Y'all open up your mics, fill this lady some flowers. That was absolutely brilliant, honey. I mean, I sort of kind of knew what I was gonna get, but I wasn't expecting that. If you all have questions, now is the time to put them in the chat. Ashley, you still have about 15 minutes. If you want to do more, I'm hoping you're going to do more. So, as I say, if y'all have questions, put them in the chat. If not, Ashley, feel free to keep going.
I just wanted to say that was beautiful the way it unfolded and the way each piece intertwined with the next. The storytelling is phenomenal.
Thank you.
And it's palatable in the manner in which you tell it, because it's a very powerful story. And unfortunately, one that is known by many women. And the way that you tell it is just remarkable. So thank you for sharing it. And thank you for the way that you shared it. It's beautifully done. So thank you.
Thank you so much. I do appreciate that. Thank you so much. I do appreciate it. I have another one. So this one is, I hadn't had it in the collection of poems, but basically this poem is one of the most of my vulnerable poems, mainly because of how it was by women. I got to experience both betrayal, but healing and survival, all coming from one individual, showing me different ends of like the knife that can cut can be the knife that saves as well. So just seeing all these dynamics and all these different things of how a woman can be portrayed and seen was just so, and also being a woman myself and trying to think about like, okay, what type of person would I want to become, or the woman I would like to develop and be. So for this one is called Judas is Female. Just a moment.
I love this piece.
Will Judas Iscariot please stand up? Judas? And eyes eagle out into the crowd in search of a man to stand, but I am the only one standing. Judas was female. Women, when did we get here? A place where our love for each other has turned into a boomerang, goes out into the world to return with each other's men. When did the pheromones of men we did not join wholly in matrimony reek from our skin? I guess when betrayal arrives in an anatomy that looks like your mother, your discernment spirit gets harder to listen to. So we wine and dine, breaking each other's bones and bodies as a form of bread. Betrayal has become our Messiah. I was only 10 when saying grace felt like blasphemy. Amen's too busy drowning to make it to heaven. Judas set our house on fire, but everyone was focused on adjusting the aircon. My siblings and I have become smokers ever since. The art of inhaling toxicity in a form of you were too young to be involved. So we never question why we have been burning my mother's tongue to keep my father's feet warm. We never question why vows are said if not meant, till death do us part, but why stay when the parting happens before the death? But today, we are all gathered here for the Last Supper. Seated on the right hand of the Father is my father's lineage, kids that did not heal. His father too busy absent to teach table manners, so they all eat from the pots. The traumas are seen in the manner they eat. They do not use napkins or utensils, so leaving stains on their kids is an inevitable thing. When my mother loves my father, she's also parent to the lost boy inside. In all of this, my mother is still saying grace at the dinner table. Seated on the left, there it sat a serpent, coiled around my father's chest. Judas knows that the way to a man's heart is through his traumas, so she plays with the lost boy inside my father. What becomes of man trapped inside his childhood? What becomes of my siblings and I in all of this? No time to be child and play when our limbs are too busy holding up my mother's smile. No time to be child and play when my siblings are at home for their school fees or busy building up Judas's home. In all of this, my mother is still saying grace at the dinner table. In that moment, my anger brews into a Molotov cocktail, set alight by all of this silence. I want to show Judas what I have been praying for. Turn her head into Panyata, unravel Hitler's concentration camp inside her womb, so everything conceived will be of pain. I want her to feel like me. That because of her, I have seen father become phantom, limbs we are still trying to gather from her backyard to keep this table stable. Ashley, says my mother, we do not fight with our fists, we fight with our knees. Do you not see that your Father art in heaven, and he that is down here is just man looking for refuge in him too? I go back into saying grace, praying that I too can embody the godliness within my mother. So whenever someone ever asks for Jesus to stand up, my mother and I will always be standing. Thank you.
I have no words. That is, I said, I saw you do that on your channel. That is unreal on a whole different level to see you do it live as such. Can't wait to see you do it in person. That's beautiful piece. As I said, y'all open up your mics, throw this lady some roses. If you've got questions, now is the time to ask. We've got a few more minutes before we cut recording and go into the second part of this double shot. Next coming up is Pen and Sword, which is our general open mic. So, you know, mom, dad, sister, brother, potted plant, whatever, whoever it is who does words in your house. This is the mic for you to bring them to. No themes, no censoring. No, I'm famous for telling people, no, we record, so don't say anything that you don't want your mama, your priest, or your parole officer, or the district attorney to hear. Outside of that, you know, you can do your thing. So as I say, that will be at 6:30. In the meantime, if you feel like donating to our flow, please go to PayPal, poetswind@hotmail.com. 90% of every, whatever it is that we make on these shows, will go to our artists. 10% comes back to Tesoro so that we can keep the lights on. I hesitate to ask because you have another show for us, but is there any way we could hear one more piece and then I'll let you go?
Sorry, I just realized I was muted. One more piece, let's see. Okay, I'm just trying to dive into the archives. The
Archives are good.
archives, yeah. Okay, so this piece is called Skin. This piece is called Skin into Shelter. Just sorry. It's called Skin into Shelter. Yes. She was only 10 when she learned how to turn her skin into shelter. Her body was forced to age. Body does not know how to play with other kids in the park anymore. Too busy turning itself into shelter. The streets know her by name. Always know her feet by name. Always trying to map out a footprint big enough to call home. Sometimes the streets say a prayer out to the night. That hunting will not mean, that hunger will not mean hunting innocent flesh. On most days, the streets is a lonely home, a place where she finds her rest. She has not known how to sleep in beds anymore, too busy searching for things to find out where home is. She was left young, with no one to care but for herself. She finds a park. Here is where she finds rest. She closes her eyes in reminiscence of peace. It is in this moment, just this moment, where she can catch a breath again and be child in this moment. But slowly she remembers that the sun will come up again and she will have to become and turn her skin back into shelter before the sun goes to bed. Yes. Thank you.
My, it does not get any smoother or cooler than that.
Yes, thank
You know,
you.
again, we're coming near the end of this. We've got about 2 minutes left. If you've got a question for Ashley, now is the time to ask, because we won't have time during the open mic. I'm not seeing any questions come up. Again, y'all open up your mics, give this woman some applause, give her some yays, give her some hallelujahs, you know, whatever you got.
Yep.
Thank you
Yep.
so much.
Yep. Yep. That was great. I
Oh.
only heard 2 pieces, but I really dug it, Ashley. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I do appreciate it, Jane.
Hopefully, one of these days, I can get the two of you together. Jane's all the way out on, she's holding it down for Tesoro on the East Coast. But at some point, we'll get everybody together and just, you know, take over the free world.
We definitely. Sounds like a plan.
So, Ashley Moyo, thank you so much for being here on the Aperitif Concerts. Y'all in the audience, this is what's going to happen. I'm going to kill the recording, and then at 6:30, we will come back. I'll hit record again. For those of you who weren't here for everything that Ashley did, she's about to feature on Pen and Sword. This also gives you the chance to come and dust off your dancing shoes and do your thing. So y'all bring your A game, because it's going to be that kind of crowd. Ashley, again, thank you so much. That was absolutely incandescent. For everyone who's out in our crowd right now, this will be posted on YouTube, on the Tesoro YouTube channel. So you can go ahead and see it again. I'll certainly be watching it again. This has been absolutely marvelous. So for those of you who won't make it to the open mic, have a fantastic day, night, afternoon, wherever it is you are in the world. We will, one way or the other, see you around the way. Y'all take it easy.
All right. Thank you so much for having me, Stacey. Thank you everyone for coming. I do appreciate it.